Let me tell you about myself in ninth grade. I was spotty, faintly mustachioed, and I was supremely confident that I was right about everything. In short, insufferable. And one of my running arguments with my English teacher was that I didn't really think that writers or artists actually thought about all of the things that we attribute to them when we analyze literature in English class. All of the symbols that we had to parse in each story and the themes connecting to other masterworks of literature and the plot diagrams sketched on the blackboard. I just didn't believe that any real writers actually thought about any of that stuff when they wrote stories. They didn't embed huge amounts of meaning in each character's name or the historical significance of a location or the quadruple meanings of a word in the Catholic tradition. They just let the plot lead them to wherever it would go. They would just sit down and write. They wanted to spin a story that moved people. And if they didn't, well, they would never be great enough to survive through the ages and to be the great geniuses that we think of them of. They had to engage people, not make stuff for English class. And I spoke from experience. I mean, I was a writer. I tried writing that way, starting by sort of contriving complex layers of symbology and intellectual pyrotechnics and 3D plot diagrams and character backstories. And I got so mired in the mechanics that I could barely even write sentence one. It was also self-conscious, so much like a Sunday Times crossword puzzle that I couldn't believe that was how my favorite authors actually worked, that it wasn't all just a black art that was conjured up by English professors so that they could get tenure and publish books. And when I studied art history, I felt that same reluctance to accept the tortured academic analysis of composition and color symbolism and buried messaging and historical context and all that stuff. I just didn't buy that artists were thinking this much before they ever applied a brush to canvas. And I knew that when I tried it, this approach just didn't give me any more pleasure in making art. My skin has long since cleared up and my mustache is gone, but I still think pretty much the same way about writing and making art. I believe that it comes from inside of us, from the rich soup of experiences and inspiration that have been percolating from inside of us for decades. The emotions, the attitudes, the biases, the experiences that we've accumulated in becoming who we are. And that our art is an authentic response to our lives that's filtered through ourselves and through our experiences before it gushes out onto the page. We don't need charts and outlines and index cards to get where we're going. We just simply need to open our hearts and we need to let it flow. I still face each blank page of my own with pretty much the same attitude. I start with a flicker of a thought to indicate maybe what the first mark should be, the first sentence. I might have a vague notion of the destination, the goal, but it's fungible, and I'm happy to call my literary travel agent anytime to change my itinerary. Because the pleasure is in tapping the keys or moving the pen, not following some intellectual, architectural set of diagrams. The thing is, it's not benign, this diagnostic approach. I worry that a lot of people, feeling incapable of putting all that significance and purpose and meaning into their art, they end up afraid to take the first step in making something. They're cowed by this requirement to have plotted out their precise place in art history or literature before putting pen to paper. As I said, I believe that art comes from the heart, from who we are, what we feel, what we experience. It might be colored by our times, our faith, our heroes, our biography. But we all want to make something universal that transcends these particular things, to share who we are as people, to reach all kinds of other people as we do. And of course, that monkey voice in my head says, I shouldn't be quite so strident in making this declaration. Maybe I wasn't really paying attention. I missed some essential lesson in junior high school that today you're watching this and you're thinking that I'm just naive and ill-informed and still cocky and arrogant. I wouldn't be surprised as I talk much more than I listened back then, but I hope not. I think that if you're worrying about whether you're doing it right, if you're worrying about what you think artists do, if you're worried about how it will be judged or analyzed or dissected one day, you're screwing yourself out of the opportunity to just make what feels right. And again, what feels right to you is going to feel right to somebody else. It may not be to your ninth grade English teacher, but it will feel right to you. So start with your instinct, with your impulse. Maybe over time you'll need to shape it and craft it, but you can't help imbuing whatever you make with all of the elements that have made you who you are. So maybe one day some art historian will come along and say, oh yes, she was influenced by this, or oh yes, he must have read that. That's not your problem. Your problem is to be you, to make stuff, to get it out there and carry on. Don't let any second thoughts, don't let any overly intellectual constructs get in the way of doing what you're truly meant to do, which is to be an artist, to be yourself. Well, I don't know, maybe you found this helpful, maybe you found it interesting. And if you did, I know, subscribe to my weekly essay. Each Friday, I send out an email to about almost 25,000 artists on how to live a better, happier, creative life. And you can get it too. It's free. Just sign up at dannysessays.com. And I really hope that you do. And I hope that either way, that this has helped you to feel more comfortable, more inspired, and more creative.